My friend Wilson Good introduced me to a saying a number of years ago, and it's always apropos for what we are doing. And how are the children? It is the greeting of the Maasai when they meet, but it is what we are all concerned with, and we always need to say when we meet. And how are the children? That is the question, and that's what tonight is all about. The honorees that we recognize tonight have each addressed that question in their own revealing, compelling ways, in ways that bring people to greater awareness and move them to action.
We have laws about speed limits around schools and drug-free zones around schools, but for whatever reason, we don't do much about the quality of air outside schools. And what we're very fortunate about is that more and more people around the country are taking the kinds of steps that will inform the communities about what's in the air and hopefully empower them to do some things about it. So thank you very much for this honor. It means a great deal to all of us. Thanks.
The good news is that the North Carolina General Assembly this year passed 2 laws aimed at toughening up laws related to youth workers, and the company that was the central part of our investigation is under federal indictment and is currently awaiting trial on that next month. So hopefully this work got the message out, and hopefully employers in the future will be reluctant to do this kind of thing again. Thank you. Thank you again for the honor.
You all asked me to talk about this for just a couple of minutes, and the project took us a year to explain to our readers, so I'll get this done as quick as I can. First of all, I want to thank you all for this honor. Our project shows what one newspaper in one community can do, not only to document a problem, but also to start a dialogue to move a community towards solutions. We told this story with numbers and charts and an interactive database on our website, with compelling narrative that described the struggles that the middle class faced going into our economic crisis and still faces today, and from the political realities that the leaders of Ohio face as they try to deal with these problems.
Our story, like most, began with a simple question. Why, we thought, was a 14-year-old girl stuck with her baby sister inside a burning house while their mother had run outside to safety? In the end, Asia chose not to jump to safety from that burning building. She took her 3-year-old sister this still chokes me up, to a closet where the 2 of them burned to death. They died alone, as they had been for most of their lives. Thanks to Asia's story, the state officials in Massachusetts investigated her case, and the governor promised an overhaul of child services in the state. In letters to the editor, readers vowed to intervene next time they saw a child like Asia.
Of all the stories I've done in my newspaper career, this one was among those that got the most reader response. I heard from families first, and cops, and patients, and social workers, and everyone who was touched by the intersection of mental illness and the criminal justice system. But Liz Browning, the mother that I wrote about, allowed me to shadow her son's redescent into the grip of schizophrenia. And that allowed me to put a face on how our jails and our mental health system in Washington State were failing first to keep the patients safe, and then in extreme cases to keep the public safe.
The tiny streets of Long Island always have their secrets, and last year we found out that the biggest secret was a heroin epidemic that was growing. And in fact, it was growing so quickly that the school districts tried to keep it quiet. The police didn't know what to do. We wrote our story exposing the problem, and then unfortunately, within a week of that, a young girl named Natalie Siapa died from a heroin overdose. So because of our series, There have been 2 laws passed on Long Island, Natalie's Law in Nassau County, which forces the police department to notify the school district if there is a heroin arrest. And in Suffolk County, there is now a website that depicts all of the heroin arrests in the area.
A great editor, Frank McCullough, sent me down in my early years, about 30 years ago, and he said, it's not our job to be the activists. It's our job to find the people who will tell the story better than us. If you're working in Washington, you'd be dealing with bureaucracy and HIPAA laws and privacy laws. But when you go up into the hills of West Virginia and see people who have driven 10 hours, sleep in a tent for 3 days to see a doctor about their teeth or get an x-ray, it'll be the only time they'll see a doctor in that year. And I realize how lucky we are as journalists that we have people who are still willing, despite the media saturation and craziness of our society, who are still willing to let us tell very poignant and very personal stories.
I so wish Shade Lopez could be up here with me right now because you guys would fall in love with him. And that's what happened to me. When I met him, he was in that nursing home among the elderly, among mentally ill. And this is a kid who the life was out of him. He spent the days in his room playing video games because he could not speak with anyone. He was deaf and no one there signed. So he sat there and he became institutionalized and became to the point that he didn't even care anymore. But in going and talking with him over those 3 years and seeing the light in his eye when someone wanted to talk with him about what he wanted and what he could do, that's what inspired me to keep going.
One believes that if the story can get told that answers some of the questions about what about the children that Alma Powell so movingly started this evening with asking us, one knows that journalism, with all the struggles we have going on in this country, is going to be here for decades and centuries to come to help this great nation of self-government deal directly and clearly and honestly with the problems in front of it. And we all know in this room that many of those problems begin with the way children are mistreated in this country. At the Merrill College of Journalism, after many years of doing other things, I find that a College of Journalism is actually a place of miracles every day. Because there, in the few months that I've been at the Merrill College, I've been able to meet some of the finest journalists who've become professors and teachers of the next generations. Some of the finest journalists who became researchers into the future of journalism and have brought that to students at the undergraduate, the graduate, and the PhD level. Because there is a thirst in this country for participation in the country that is yet to be formed. We're in always an experimental space in journalism. And I want to thank all of you on behalf of all of us at the Philip Merrill College of Journalism for your great independence, your great persistence, your great skepticism, and your great commitment to verifiable knowledge that others can share.
This year's award for action goes to what our judges called a case study in the true power of investigative journalism that stimulated a grassroots army of more than 8,000 people contacting members of Congress and also motivated the Environmental Protection Agency to take action to protect children who otherwise are exposed to toxic chemicals around their schools. So Blake Morrison and Brad Heath of USA Today the award for action. Congratulations to WNYC's radio rookies for growing up within the system. So all of you come up. That's Shirley Diaz and Raymond Henderson and Crystal Monclova and Kari Pitkin and Melissa Robbins, Sandra Height, Courtney Stein, and Marianne McCoon. You guys were